Hi everyone, my name is Mariana, and in this video I'm going to explain how I made this 3D anatomy drawing using Blender's grease pencil, starting with a clay sculpture. This is part of the conclusion of the anatomy drawing challenge I started in May 2021 and the videos that started this channel, so it's kind of special. Let's begin. The first thing I did was make a drawing to use as a reference for the clay sculpture, and then I started sculpting. I want to clarify that this process was just an experiment to try something new. So although the materials were not the most professional, I wanted to try this in the most efficient and affordable way. Also, I'm not a professional sculptor, so I was learning throughout the process. For example, I started sculpting without a wire armature. I naively figured that if I make a small sculpture, I wouldn't need it. And I was wrong. So, I bought a cheap thin wire and made a somewhat stable armature. By the way, I know that in all these videos I'm like proco, but I followed another Proco tutorial lesson by Andrew Joseph Keith on following armatures. The link is in the description below. So now the clay had something to grab onto and the post didn't lose shape. There is another useful thing called an armature stand, but as I said, I wanted to be efficient and cost effective, so I worked around that by giving the sculpture a strong base so it could stand on its own, and decided to fix the fit on Blender. I also didn't define the rest of the anatomy. The small size makes it uncomfortable to work on details, and it would have taken me much more time. So I left it at this stage and let future me worry about it. Okay, so there's an app called Polycam that scans a place or object and makes a 3D capture. I wanted to use this app. It was one of the main reasons why I decided on this workflow. You don't need a phone with a LiDAR sensor. Polycam has an option to create a 3D capture with photographs, and that's what I did. It took me several attempts until I ended up with something that satisfied me. And I imported it into Blender. This is where future me suffered. The 3D object was not perfect. I had to clean some parts of the mesh, and the mesh was not fully attached. It came with triangles and a horrible topology. So I broke it and made holes in some parts. I could have made a retopology, but you know, I'm not an expert in 3D and I didn't have the patience to watch a tutorial and figure this out. The purpose of the mesh is just to draw over a surface with grease pencil. So I only fixed the parts that were deforming the pose, did what I could with the fit, and left it like that, with holes and just a mess. It was okay for this first experiment, but if I ever try this again, I will take my time to define things and make it comfortable to work with. Now, grease pencil drawing. I first made a rough pass of all the anatomy in the body. In general, grease pencil works great, but I did have a problem with the eraser tool. When drawing, you paint on the surface of the selected layer, but when erasing, it affects through the mesh everything that is behind, ignoring the surface and also all the unlocked layers, erasing things that you don't mean to. My solution was to draw in different layers and lock them. So when I was cleaning the lines, I could erase them without worrying about erasing other things. And I can always merge the layers when I finish. I indicated bony landmarks with blue. This is because they are a good foundation for correct muscle placement. Not defining the anatomy in the sculpture stage is taking a toll on my 3D drawing. Grease pencil surface mode follows the surface, so some muscles look without form. They look flat and therefore incorrect. I especially don't like how the deltoids look and other muscles like the sternocleidomastoid that usually add such a cool detail to the neck. Regardless of the flatness, I'm happy with how I practiced placing the muscles and studying them together. It's awesome to see how they all interconnect and lead into each other and the next. The human body has beautiful rhythms and I could appreciate them as I built them. Now I had a drawing with the bone landmarks, muscles, and some indications of the skin, fat, and other anatomical elements. It looked empty, so I added a few muscle fibers and painted the muscles, highlighting the ones that I think are most important for drawing. I followed another great tutorial by Sophie Jantak to fill the drawing correctly. The link for this video is in the description as well. Here are all the steps I took to complete this 3D figure drawing. So that was it for this piece. I am doing a second sculpture with a more friendly approach. So if you want to try 3D figure drawing, this upcoming video will show you a better way to do it. So stay tuned and I'll see you there. Bye!